President Biden's son, Hunter Biden, indicted now on 3 federal gun charges. This after that plea deal fell apart in the summer. Hunter's accused of lying about his drug use when purchasing a firearm back in 2018, a time he admits he was struggling with addiction to crack cocaine. That is all according to the indictment. And you see that here on your screen. Professor Emeritus at Harvard Law School, Alan Dershowitz, joins us now, author of Get Trump. Professor, good to see you on this Friday. We appreciate you taking the time for our viewers this morning. If we can show these charges again, I'd like for you to take a look at them. At one point, it was just one gun charge. You've got 3 charges here. What do you make of these, Professor?
Oh, I don't think it makes a difference. There's not going to be a full-blown trial. There'll be a plea bargain. This was a tactic to just raise the ante. The plea bargain, I predict, will be as follows. He will admit to the facts underlying these 3 charges, admit that he lied, admit that he owned a gun while he was addicted to drugs. He'll admit all that, but he'll challenge some of the aspects of the indictment on legal grounds, on Second Amendment grounds, on double jeopardy grounds, which will entitle him to appeal the case. So I predict there won't be a full-blown trial. There'll be a kind of guilty plea, and it will result in a probationary sentence, which is typical for a first offender who was charged with these kinds of crimes.
If you look at the plea deal prior and you look at the potential plea deal that you're discussing there, obviously some things are different about it. But probation was something that was introduced in that first deal. What would be different about this plea deal in your mind?
The difference is that in the original plea, it was a diversion, which doesn't give you a criminal record. Okay. Here, he'd have to plead guilty and get a criminal record and be put on probation. So there is a difference. It's not a big deal difference, but if it's my client, I care that he not have a criminal record. So he will probably have a criminal record. The other big difference is in the original plea, we weren't sure whether it kept open the possibility of further investigations and further indictments. That's why it fell apart. Here we now know that there can be further investigations, including investigations pointing to the Oval Office. And so what I think is the best result now is for there to be a special counsel appointed to investigate Burisma, the relationship between Hunter Biden and President Biden, and all the issues that were left on the side when the plea bargain was originally structured.
In terms of David Weiss handling this case, how do you believe that this has been handled so far?
Not well. He shouldn't have been appointed. He's a Delaware guy. Delaware guys, part of the inner circle of Delaware. People say he was appointed by Trump. That's nonsense. He was appointed essentially by the 2 Democratic senators in Delaware. Trump rubber-stamped the appointment, as happens with U.S. attorneys. But he was exactly the wrong person to do this investigation. Now he's flexing his muscles a little bit, but the end result will be no prison time and a probationary sentence, and perhaps an appeal on these 2 technical legal issues, whether or not there was double jeopardy and the constitutional issue, which is technical, whether the Second Amendment prohibits any a trial on this once a deal was struck previously, which was not, however, approved by the judge.
I want to close with this. Hunter Biden's attorneys are firing back. Hunter's attorney, Abby Lowell, specifically speaking about these new charges. Let me play this for you, and I'll get your reaction here.
Sure.
If you think about it, what has changed? They knew all the facts for years. The law, if it has changed at all, as you pointed out, there have been at least 2 federal courts that have found this law in particular to be unconstitutional. And therefore, you have to ask what changed. And what changed, you also just talked about. It is the folks like Chairman Comer and the Republican MAGA crazies who have been pressuring this U.S. attorney to do something to vindicate their political position. And guess what? They succeeded.
Your reaction to Mr. Lowell?
Well, first, Abby Lowell's a great lawyer. I've worked with him in the past. Hunter Biden couldn't have a better lawyer. And he has a point. Nothing has changed except that the plea fell apart. Part of that was the fault of the defense attorneys because they went and bragged that there would be no further investigations, and that provoked the prosecutors into saying, whoa, wait, we didn't agree with that, and that's what made the deal fall apart. But nothing substantive has changed, and he has a point, and he has the right to challenge the constitutionality of these statutes. So I think that the media has been playing up these indictments probably more than they deserve. I don't believe there'll be a big trial in the run-up to the election of Hunter Biden. We know there will be 4 trials of Donald Trump, but those people who think that there are going to be these 2 conflicting trials at the same time will be disappointed, because I think this will be resolved by a plea bargain.
Professor Emeritus at Harvard Law School, that is Alan Dershowitz. Professor, good to see you as always. Enjoy your weekend, sir.
You too.